take on it. And Ngannou.
I picked Joshua to win. Anyway, you know, Francis is a big, strong guy, but he haven't got the experience. And no disrespect to him and his team, he's working with people who are not boxing people. He needs to get a proper boxing trainer because he's big and he's strong. Obviously, if Fury underestimated him, Fury didn't train properly. You could tell from the Fury was moving around. And Francis and his team got ignorant and took too much away from that. And then that false confidence is what got him knocked out. And then also because they focus on the stuff he did against Fury. Fury's at Joshua. Fury's a better boxer than Joshua, a better mover. Joshua carries power. And then it was crazy because I'm watching the fight and Joshua set him up. He's jabbing to his body and pulling to his right. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a telltale sign. You're fighting a right-handed puncher. He's jabbing you and he's pulling to his right. It's only a matter of time before he comes back with the right hand and then Francis go and switch to southpaw while you're doing good orthodox. You're not a southpaw. He doesn't. I don't know what they worked in camp or whatever, but he needs to get a good. If he's serious about boxing, he's never gonna be a boxer, change too much, but he needs to get boxing trainers to cover the basics of them so he can learn or to look out for the telltale signs. You know what I mean? Because I fought Joshua 100 years ago. You know, I weren't as experienced and I weren't as good as I am now, but I was still able to avoid a lot of right hand and roll a lot of right hands. You know, when he was trying to set them up, you know, even though obviously I had problems with my shoulders, I couldn't really block the way I should have been blocking, but I was still able to roll a lot of them. And Francis go down, stand up in the same place, didn't move his head, didn't try and hold, didn't try and walk around the ring, nothing. He just went down, stood up, went down, stood up, went down again in the same place. The 3 knockdowns was in the same place. He went down in the same place 3 times. He didn't try and move or try and hold or try and do anything. He went down, stood up, and went down again, stood up and went down again. Everyone knows if you go down, you don't stand in the same place. You try and create as much space between you, the referee, and the opponent. You know, it's like that right hand that AJ hit him with the last right hand, he must have been asleep. Because AJ didn't disguise it. He just swung it over the top, and Francis just, I don't know, maybe Francis believed in his chin and his ability way more than he should have done. Yeah, but that's what happened when you haven't got boxing people around you. And boxing's hard, man. Boxing's not easy. You need to make sure that you have the right people around you, and also you keep your ego in check. You know, everybody can get knocked out, but the way he was getting beat up in there. And he wasn't noticing the signs, the telltale signs. So, but that's what should happen. AJ is a real champion, an Olympic gold medalist, and he fought good people. Francis is not, and that's what it should have been. That's what Fury should have dealt with him as well. To be honest, Fury should have knocked him out too.
And those are the words of Dillian, the body snatcher, Whyte. Okay, and Dillian's take on it was he should have had boxing people around him. Okay. Which for a while, to be fair, he had Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson, of course, had his own itinerary, his own things to do. Okay, and I take it for what it is with that. Okay, now he did good, and he did well enough. You know, and, you know, Dewey Cooper, you know, he's a former kickboxer and boxer who competed, okay? He, you know, was in the WKC and the WKF cruiserweight. So, you know, that's what he was referring to. That's what Dillian Whyte was referring to. He should have had somebody specifically a boxer, which I would agree with. I think, you know, he should have been with someone else. I don't know if he would decide to do or to go another route, because sometimes loyalty is more important to a lot of people than anything else. Sometimes winning a fight. However, I do also agree with him, you know, there was no head movement. There was no movement on the head, especially when he went down. Maybe it was shock, and I think just like Mike Tyson said, you know, everybody has a plan until you get hit in the face or punched in the face. And Francis really didn't have a good plan. He got caught with that straight right, and the way he turned stances, it puzzled a lot of people. That's why I'm going live here in a little bit, okay, so we can talk about what's going on and how this possibly could have been rigged and all that, which I don't believe in whatsoever. You know, a lot of these channels are trying to brew up a conspiracy or some corruption, and I'm like, dude, stop. But, you know, nonetheless, but I will say this, for Dillian Whyte to say, well, why didn't he grab? He's supposed to, you know, stayed away from Anthony Joshua because he was hurt, He believed too much in the chin and all that. Well, that's the whole point. You can't prepare anyone for something that they've never been through. You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of times people that has never been dropped, never been stopped, you know, they get stopped simply because they don't know what to do. They don't know they don't know what it's like to be hurt. They don't know what it's like to take those type of shots. Francis didn't know. He didn't know, like, hey, you got to grab or you got to make space between yourself and that opponent to keep that opponent from, you know, tearing into you. He didn't know that. So a lot of things, you know, experience will be your guide, but if you lack that experience, that it's going to be hard. Francis was just trying to, I think Francis was like fight or flight. I don't think he was trying to hold. I don't think he was trying to survive. I think he was trying to attack, but his attacks were foiled by Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua kept doing the same thing because he seen the same hole in the same defense, hole in that defense, you know, the whole time until they stopped, till he knocked him out cold. See, if you get caught with a right hand, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to move. When he throws that, when you get back up, you're like, okay, he got me with that right hand. Your objective is not getting hit with that shot again. That's your objective. Okay, he ain't going to hit me with that one. You know what I mean? This dude's throwing straight rights, and he's leaning into him. Oh, you know what I mean? Oh, an encounter with your own. But none of that happened. Because Francis got hit, and I think when Francis got hit, he was like, okay, I've never been here before, you know, and I don't know what Dewey Cooper told him, but I can tell you what he should have told him. He should have told him, hey, move your head. That right's coming straight up the middle. Avoid that right hand. You know what I'm saying? Avoid that shot, because, yeah, you're not the only hard hitter in this ring, sir. Okay? So, yeah, I think Dillian Whyte's right about that. But I think Francis was still pretty much out on his feet by the second one, to be fair. You know, but I do think they need to work on his defense. I think they may bring somebody else in to help Francis develop his defense, because without it, he's going to get hit and hurt just like that again by somebody else. All because he doesn't want to practice moving his head in a professional bout. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Dillian the Body Snatcher Whyte and his take on Francis Ngannou being knocked out by Anthony Joshua. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!